How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews. Back with a little Modist brewing up in this piece in the form of their Fang and Bone New Zealand style oak aged Pilsner. New Zealand style. I assume they're using New Zealand hops, oak aged Fooder Pilsner. There you go. This actually came in a box from Devore. They sent off. They were like, "Hey, you want to send you another box?" I said, "Yes." What? Summer chuggers. If you're watching my reviews, I've repeated that every time. Here we go. Label-wise, it's awesome. Actually, when I did the unboxing on this, I actually thought, I was like, oh, I haven't had any Modist before. I have had some. It's been 4 years since I've had one of their beers, so I'm kind of pumped to dive into it. So New Zealand-style Pilsner aged in oak foeders, then dry hopped with New Zealand Wakatu and Nelson Sauvin. Not too shabby. Full disclosure, I've had this beer before, and I had it yesterday. But it was during my son's kind of sip and see, I guess that's what they call it, kind of hang out and meet the baby for the first time for close friends and family, which, listen, my family parties typically always involve bottle shares, and good friends of mine brought over some beer. So this is like sandwiched in between a bunch of bangers. So I'm not going to tell you that, after I drank the Schramm's mead, I tasted much of this beer. Let's put it that way. Anyway, soft haze to it, what you'd expect from an unfiltered Pilsner. White as white could be. Head it looks the part as I spill it everywhere. I'm just going to keep spilling it for fun because I have paper towels. If you have paper towels, you can spill everything. It's called science. I'm really good at it. So, spilling, not science. There we go. It's like a Brawny commercial. But yeah, definitely looks the part. Let's see if we can get a nose on this, man. I can't get this roll down on this glass. I mean, you can get that New Zealand hop kind of influence in there. It's not super aggressive. What's the ABV on this? Did I actually call that out yet? 5.3%. So it's not super huge to the face, but you can get that soft little tropical fruity kind of light kind of vibe you're getting from what you typically get from like a New Zealand kind of hop. A little bit of maltiness, nothing too aggressive. I mean, it's a very light beer. Listen, it's a Pilsner. Even though it is hopped with New Zealand hops, it also is foeder aged. So when you're talking about a foeder age, you're adding a bit of roundness, a bit of softness to the beer. And that really does kind of come off on the nose. So we're just going to dive in. Cheers. That doesn't suck. One more sip. It's really nice. It's a lot more, I don't want to use the word aggressive, but not as rounded as I would expect something coming out of a foeder. It does have a little bit of soft wood to it. It does have almost like a mixed, subtle dollop of mixed culture vibe to it. I think that's more of what the foeder is adding, but it doesn't have that ultra softness that you typically get from these foeder aged Pilsners. And the way the wood interacts, how it kind of rounds out the beer, you're getting more of a snappy kind of crispy boyiness. So it's a cool combination. I do like that soft lager that you do get from more traditional style kind of foeder Pilsners, but this is very cool too because it's giving you that little bit of wood and just that snappiness that you'd expect from like a crispy Pilsner. Those New Zealand hops definitely show up. I would say they're probably the most predominant flavor profile in the beer itself. Again, not overly aggressive. They're just number one in the calling sheet. You get this nice, again, snappy is the word I want to use here. Sharp, snappy, not aggressive. So I want to make that distinction of that nice kind of soft, tropical, soft, weedy fruit kind of thing going on there. Soft tropical fruit with a little bit of weed is what I should say. But in a very dialed back kind of sense. Super clean, super well made. And like I said, crisp and snappy is the word here. And you don't usually get that in a foeder Pilsner. So it's a little bit kind of like, okay, it's kind of cool. I can dig that in a very fun way. I like this beer. I mean, it's a summer chugger. The only problem I have with foeder Pilsners, and more specifically, I would say this one, I don't think I'm gaining heaps in huge dollops of stuff, because that's a thing, stuff, from the foeder in here. Like it's a little bit of soft wood, that little bit of kind of, is the yeast a little bit different than just a stable kind of lager yeast? So I'm not getting a ton of odor. That doesn't change the beer in an enjoyability standpoint. I still think it tastes quite well, even with those subtle additions. It props the beer up a little bit more, makes it quite tasty. I think once you introduce that foeder and the time it needs in the foeder, it ends up jacking the price up of the beer. I have no idea what this costs. Like I said, Tavor sent us off. So, this is the kind of beer that I really do want at 12, 13, 14%. I don't know if you can do that. Or 12, 13, $14, I should say. I don't think you can do that when the foeder is involved with the time and the expense. So yeah, I would imagine, this is me just shooting from the hip, this beer is more in the $16, $17 range, and that's probably my biggest kind of gripe on it. But if we kind of strip back cost and just talk about it from a viscerally just delicious beer standpoint, it passes with flying colors. Absolutely delicious beer, tasty. I get the foeder, it's just not huge, and imparting that softness I typically get, but it's a really well-made beer, clean, man. I mean, there's nothing negative about this beer whatsoever. And that addition of those New Zealand hops really just kind of adds this kind of little twist on the beer that makes it really damn tasty. So yeah, let's talk about it. One of the better Pilsners I've had is up there. And definitely eating towards Mount Rushmore status. Really tasty stuff. Value and availability on this, like I said, I have no idea. If you've had this beer, if you purchased this beer, please let me know what you paid for it. Especially even if you got it from Tavor, I'd be curious to see what they charge versus what you get it at the brewery. And leave you with if you like what we like this beer. If you like Pilsners and you like a little bit of soft foeder action, you don't want that full-on kind of super sultry softness that it typically imparts. If you dig that, you'll dig this beer. So there you go. A review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Like I said, if you've had this beer at all, just let me know what you think, because I'm interested. Let's talk. Massive Beers, if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive, if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little Modist right now. We'll see you next time. Cheers.